Oh my God. Yeah, that was a good album.
Yeah, there's nothing like waking up to a text stream about a mechanical tongue.
Who sent that?
You
I
did.
You did.
That's right. Yeah, but
I don't know what you follow to get that.
Okay, no. It was. I sent it because of the bourbon, not because of the tongue.
It's like, yeah, that's why somebody would create a fake tongue.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 1 of the Bourbon Boys. I'm Alton. I'm here with my friend David,
Hey, guys.
Kurt,
Hey there.
and Derek.
Here we go.
Hey, we're going to talk a little bit about some bourbon tonight, a little bit about life. Through the show, we're going to sample 4 of our favorites. We're going to talk about Woodford Reserve, Old Forester Statesman, TX, and Four Roses. So, gentlemen, it's been a long time coming. Let's get it started.
Let's go.
Let's go.
This evening I poured Old Forester Statesman, which apparently they did, I don't know if it's in honor of or in celebration of the last Kingsman movie, believe it or not.
Really?
And it's supposed to represent, the flavors represent the different characters in the movie.
I did not know that.
Did not. So it's kind of oaky.
Oaky, not hokey.
Oaky, not hokey.
I saw the movie.
But yeah, it's good. Reminds me a little bit of Buffalo, maybe a little bit sweeter.
Okay.
Nice little bite, a little warm going down. So I like it.
All right. Where's it from?
It's Old Foresters from Kentucky, 95 proof.
Cool.
Maybe next time I'll do more research on it.
Well, that's pretty good right there.
I like it.
So where did you find the Kingsman reference? It's not on the
Online.
bottle, is it?
No, well, it came with a little tag that talked about it. It's kind of interesting, though, the connection between the Kingsman and the bourbon's a little weak. Just trying to put together the flavors and the characters, I couldn't really make that bridge. But
Yeah, I'm not getting it.
yeah, it was good, though. I like it. It's not cheap. It was like, I don't know, $58. So, yeah.
That is interesting. And then Statesman, is that a sub of Old Forester, or is that part of the movie?
I don't think it's part of the movie.
No.
Again, the connection felt a little weak. But I did go on their website, and they've got several different releases of bourbon that they do. There's a 1910, a 1920, like 5 or 6 other ones, but then they have a birthday edition that they put out every year, and I think it goes all the way back to like 2000.
Cool.
Small, really cool bottle, but it's just a very select bourbon that they do once a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
So why did you pick that one? Why of all the?
You know, it just, I think maybe being a visual person, I'm always kind of sucked in by the creative on the bottle, and to me that just kind of felt kind of old school, kind of heritagey kind of feel to it. And I'd seen it sitting on the shelf for a while and thought, I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
And there's always multiple varieties
Okay.
versus just seeing, just one bottle out there. Figuring, well, if you like it, there's other things to try.
Do they make a rye too, or is it?
I think they do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they do.
The bottle's pretty cool. The long neck is it does kind of throw back to like a Western.
Western, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like Basil Hayden kind of
Yeah.
shape too. They've got they have a single barrel that they do, and they also have another one that's called the President, and I guess it's a 5th generation family that still operates it, and the head of the family and their master distiller, they go in and sample different barrels, and they find one that I guess they both like, and they call that the President batch, and then they release that as well. So.
It's good work if you can get it.
Yeah, I suppose. I would totally be on board for that.
I am curious, though, because it does say the first bottled bourbon. So is it truly the first bottled bourbon?
I don't know.
And the Statesman actually has a separate trademark. So it says distilled exclusively for Statesman. So I'm curious.
There's some homework for
I
you.
like it.
Any thoughts?
I don't know. We got to figure that one out.
Yeah. It's not bad, though. It's like I said, I like a bourbon you drink and you kind of feel it. And it definitely is very warm. So
I like it.
Good.
Yeah. What are you drinking, Kurt?
The same thing.
Right. Halton, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking.
I can repeat that story. if you
And,
want me to.
and over to you. I went with my favorite to get us started here, the Woodford Reserve Double Oaked.
Yep.
Always a good place to start. Kind of the standard beer, super smooth,
Very smooth.
very strong oak finish, but no burn, no residual. So started with that tonight in honor of our first little venture. Started at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I remember when we first had this, you actually had the Angels cut on this one, right?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Oh, that's right. You did.
Yeah. During the tour, I was in the right place at the right time.
Yep. Got a good shot of that one.
Yep. It's Bourbon Thief. Yeah. That was good.
How'd that taste coming out?
I don't even remember. I was just so excited. Like many things in life, they flew by before I realized what was happening.
And the Thief, that's the extractor.
The extractor, yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What is the Angel's Cut? I don't know what that is.
So, obviously the barrels are stored for some time as they age. The portion that evaporates is called the Angel's Cut. So,
If you'd been on the tour, Kurt, you would have learned that.
Yeah, well, if I had been invited, I would have been on that tour. So.
Sore
saying.
subject. Continued
Just
to be a
saying.
sore subject.
We'll do it again.
Kentucky's still there.
That's right.
But I heard, so somebody was telling me yesterday that there is the devil's something. It's actually what it actually soaks into the barrel that
Yep.
actually gets extracted.
The devil's food.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Okay. So you have the Angel's Cut and the Devil's.
I thought it was the Angel's portion and the Devil's Cut.
Maybe it is.
I
I don't know.
So it's not the Angel's Cut, it's the Angel's portion.
We should probably find this before we
Yeah.
broadcast.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
We'll get better.
Yeah.
We will get better.
We will start paying attention. David's like doing
Or we'll
research.
just talk like we know what we're talking about, and
That's
everybody
right.
be like, "What is that?"
What is that?
I think this is one of my favorites still. I think it's super smooth. I would say it's got a little bit of like a caramel taste to it. I remember when we were in the tasting room, and one of the master distillers was talking us through it. I don't know if it was just suggestive or not, but as we were sipping it, he was kind of calling out all the different flavors you're going to taste. And I swear, he said at one point Parmesan cheese, and I was like, I can taste the Parmesan cheese. And that was like after cherry
Yeah.
and vanilla and
Yeah.
oak and
So that was after like 5 bourbons, is
it
what
may
you're
have
saying.
been. It may have been a few heavy sips. Might have been.
It is interesting how they feed you all that, and then they show you where the gift shop is.
It worked.
Yeah.
Heck
Do they,
yeah.
do they
This
sell
came home with
Parmesan
me.
cheese there?
No, I think you got an engraved bottle
I
for
did.
somebody, didn't
I
you? That's
did.
pretty cool.
Yeah, a very good friend of mine had just had a baby, and we saw that they did laser engraving on the bottle. So we had the baby's name and a barrel date and an unbarrel or uncork date. And we set it for 21 years on her birthday.
Very cool.
awesome.
I
Yeah.
was going to say
Send it
that's
to
like
her.
the best 15th birthday present ever.
Well, actually, I got one of those for my 50th. So somebody gave me a Woodford engraved bottle
Yeah, there you go.
for my 50th.
Nice.
Yeah, I would
And-
say back to your when we visited there, this was the standard bear for the visit to the bourbon distilleries.
Yep.
So if we do make it back, which I hope we do, this is still a first stop on the tour. It's
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The other one that we wanted to go see was Castle and Key.
Mm.
And they had just, I think we're coming out of the back end of a remodel. They spent like $5 million redoing this distillery. I'd like to go back and see them too.
What are some of the brands coming out of there? Is
Derek, I don't
Castle and
know.
Key one of them?
I don't think so. I don't know that I've ever seen
Okay,
the brand.
yeah. Okay.
But they also, the head distiller is a female.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's one I definitely want to check out when I go back.
All right. Road trip.
Can I come this time?
Oh, dear
sure.
God.
So, little known fact, you cannot get these engraved and shipped. You have to pick them up at Woodford.
Really?
Yep. They will not engrave and ship, but they will do a paper label in the same template that they have for
The engraved.
for this, and you can have anything you want put on those. So if you do have a gift, a birthday, a anniversary, a Wednesday,
Let me go. I'll go pick it up.
How
It's on my way home.
Bourbon Boys
It is.
NC?
We could have commemorative first edition podcast episode 1
That's right.
bottles.
We
I
got
like it.
founder
Yep.
shirts. We got founder bottles.
Exactly.
And maybe one day we'll have a barrel, our own barrel.
I think it's a good goal.
I think it's pretty good.
I think it's a good goal. That was one thing. Was that at Woodford or was that at Buffalo Trace that they had?
I think it was Woodford.
Was it Woodford?
Yeah.
Okay.
Barrels for sale.
Yeah, they had like restaurants would come in and they'd have like their own barrel. And
Did they sell Parmesan cheese?
actually, I think Kroger. Literally,
Yes, it
I
was
think,
Kroger.
I think Kroger had a barrel
was
there.
Kroger,
So
yeah.
maybe,
Kroger's
yes.
private brand, private label bourbon
Yep.
is a Woodford.
Interesting.
And they do sell Parmesan cheese.
One aisle over.
One aisle over.
Yeah, but I remember I think Nicolas Cage had a barrel.
Yeah.
They had a whole list of some universities had barrels. So
What do you
got
got to do to get a barrel?
Just spend a lot of money.
Pay
I
a
think,
lot.
I think it's pretty expensive.
We should get one. Put Bourbon
I-
Boys right there with Nicolas Cage.
Yep.
So everybody,
Yeah.
so everybody on
How
that
cool
tour would
would
be
that
like,
be?
"Who
Yeah.
the hell are the Bourbon Boys?" Just
You
wait and see.
just
Just
wait.
wait.
You've heard of Nicolas Cage, but
But
You have not heard of Bourbon Boys.
this is true. When we were in Woodford, we were in the tasting room. There was probably maybe 20 of us.
About 20. Have a big U-shaped table.
Yep.
Yeah. He did a great, kind of simple explanation of how to taste bourbon.
And we had a few different types too, right? We had the double oaked.
Yeah.
We had the Woodford Reserve,
and there was a new rye.
and then was the rye too.
Yep.
I have the rye
Yep.
Yeah.
And chocolate.
and chocolate. No Parmesan cheese.
None.
Chocolate
On
bourbon
your head.
or
Yeah.
chocolate on the plate.
It was
On
on
the-
the plate.
Oh, I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus, I blacked out.
It's that angel, the angel kiss.
That's
What
right.
was it? Angel.
Yeah. My angel's portion, angel's cut, whatever. Yeah. Straight out of the
It
barrel.
does sound like angel's portion and devil's cut. They sound like they're the right words.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think so.
Like
too.
it's positive. The portion. It's
Yeah,
sharing.
we
with the
share with the
angel.
angels. They have a right to it.
Exactly. The devil's cut is just like it's
It's a little selfish.
Yeah.
It's
It
like you
is.
got to get us cut.
It's
Exactly.
sharp.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
sharp.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So-
remember he kind of set it up with, okay, everybody take a drink of water, kind of flush anything, every flavors, you got gum, spit it out, whatever. And then put some bourbon on your tongue and kind of swish it around, basically some degree numbing the palate and the other preparing it. So I know a lot of folks, like when they first try bourbon or any alcohol, take a big swig and they're like, this is awful. And he's like, well, that's what it's supposed to be. So, so the second drink,
Have another sip.
stay with
keep going.
Stay with me.
and then the second or third drink is really where you start to taste the essence of the flavors.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
What if you have a mechanical tongue?
Then at that point, the bourbon flavor is probably not near the top
That's
of your
right.
list.
Kurt, can you tell us what about mechanical tongues?
I really can't.
Okay, good. I don't know what you've been looking at on the internet. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, where did that come up?
There was a text flying around between all of us. It was between Kurt and Alton. 'Cause
I
I
think-
think you
I
woke
think the
up and
essence
like,
of the-
I don't know what I went to bed.
I think the essence of the question is, where was Kurt browsing to find
Well,
that?
that's a good point. Good point.
That could be the next T-shirt.
Yeah,
Could
It's
be.
the bourbon texting.
it's the bourbon texting.
That's
That's
the
actually
bourbon
that's a good
texting.
one.
That is a good one.
That will
Yeah,
be
that was a
available
true article.
on our
Actually.
Etsy store.
These, what
Yes.
kind of fabric are these? Are they?
They're good. They're nice, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
this Kurt is wearing
touch my shirt.
the first edition Bourbon Boys T-shirt.
That's right.
Did you get a discount?
I've already sold one too.
He did.
I saw the picture today. A little off-brand.
Did you-
but
Yeah.
That's okay.
Just drive traffic, buddy.
What was what was the first time you had bourbon? So going back to like take that first big swig because that's what they do in the movies and westerns. But I remember it was a Friendsgiving. We had a high school reunion at our house, and my buddy John brought a bottle of Buffalo, and I think it was everyone's first experience with bourbon, and it was probably 15, 20 of us, so everyone had just a little sip to try it. But I think it was surprisingly smooth. I was expecting it to have a lot more bite. super smooth. But I don't think anyone in the room knew how to do the like numb your palate, and then you'll start to enjoy it. But others definitely enjoyed it throughout the night.
Did you say what kind of bourbon it was?
It was Buffalo.
It was Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good start.
Yeah, start near
start.
the top of the mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
What was your first, David?
Well, so getting out of Kentucky, I think just straight whiskey, Jack Daniels for sure. Mixed it as a, well, maybe not teenager, but, in college and whatnot. But then I was actually building wanted to build a boat. And so told my wife I was going to commit to this project. And she said, rather than spending the money and the time to build an 8-foot boat, why don't you build a small boat? I was like, well, 8 foot, it is a small boat. She pushed me on it a little bit more, and I ended up finding these plans for a boat cradle. And at that point, she was expecting. And so I started building it and started doing a lot of research on boat building. And one of the things that they traditions is when you put the first plank of wood on a boat, you're supposed to take a shot of whiskey.
Oh, very cool.
And so I was in my shop. Like I said, I had Jack Daniels before mixed up and whatnot, but this was just like a straight up double shot of Jack Daniels, and I literally thought I just consumed gasoline. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. But but fast forward.
Do you remember what it was?
It was Jack Daniels.
Oh, it was Jack Daniels. That's right.
But it was a double, and it was just straight. But fast forward to kind of when this whole bourbon thing started getting popular, probably 8-10 years ago. I think I was out with some friends for dinner, and somebody ordered Basil Hayden, and I decided, what the heck, I'll just try that,
That's a good one.
And just kind of sipped on it. And again, for me, it's just kind of like definitely the winter and the fall, right? I mean, it's just I love that, just the flavor, the taste, and that warmth. So yeah, since then it's been pretty much.
And you're,
drink.
aside from the Jack mixes, you're a neat guy.
Yeah.
He is a neat guy.
He's a very neat guy.
He is.
Yeah. Clever.
That's another T-shirt.
Yeah.
He's a neat guy.
He's a neat guy.
guy. That's a good one. Write that down.
I'll do it right
That
after.
is a good one, actually. That's the
That is-
T-shirt that I'll order.
Okay.
We got to get long sleeve, though. I like long sleeve.
Oh my god.
You want a pink one?
No, I don't want to
Call me a BFB. Hey, long sleeve t-shirt.
Kurtron might want a pink one, but anyways.
I'll add it to the list. Kurt, what was your
Pink is in.
What was your first bourbon taste?
Oh god. So, growing up in the Midwest, whiskey was pretty prevalent. So old fashions and so forth, but never, it was always mixed, right? I went on a trip to Texas, and that was my first introduction to a blended whiskey, which is TX, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. But that was my first introduction. And so that just kind of led from one thing to another. But the TX is really where I started. So it's a blended whiskey. It's kind of sweet, has a little vanilla in it. It's but you can only get it in Texas.
Boot leather.
What's that?
I said boot leather.
Boot leather, yeah, that's kind of the cool story about it.
Taste like boot leather?
No, it doesn't taste
Okay.
like
I
boot
don't think so.
Wow. Sounds like you're a hard
got a
sales
lot
job
of-
there.
So I think the story is so this is a story I heard, and I don't know if it's true, but apparently this distillery was put into an old boot factory, and they have all the remnants from the leather of the boots.
Cool.
So every cap actually has, or every cork or whatever you want to call it, actually has different colored leather tops. So, but yeah, that was my first introduction. So probably an easier one because it was fairly smooth. I mean, you guys have had it.
It's good.
It's got a little sweet taste to it,
Yeah.
so not super powerful in that sense. But my wife still thinks it's like lighter fluid, but so.
Yeah.
Has she done the second and third taste?
Yeah, we can't really get beyond the first.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
That's
my wife
understandable.
is on her 5th, 6th, 7th.
Yeah, Sarah has clearly made it past
She's
the...
like, let me try that again.
Oh, yeah.
Just one more time.
Yeah, she built a lot of boats.
Yes, she built a lot of boats.
she
That's
does
right.
build
Where
a
are
lot
the
of
rest of the kids?
14 one-plank boats.
That's right.
But no,
Elton?
that was my first introduction. So
All right, Elton, how about you?
So I'm a beer drinker, always been a big beer drinker, and started hanging out. I lived out in Kansas City for a while. Got some friends who are a little more are a lot more sophisticated than I, so they were big mixed drinks.
Sophisticated.
So sophisticated. So funny story. I would like go to the bar with them, and they're ordering these drinks, whatever, and so and so and so. And like the only thing I could ever think of was, I'll take a Jack and Coke. So whether I liked it or wanted it or not, that was the only thing that I could like spontaneously respond to the bartender. So I drank a lot of Jack and Cokes. And
So, Elton, can you say old-fashioned?
old-fashioned.
There you go. There's a drink.
Well, where were you then?
I'm surprised I can
I
go with the
probably
bourbon
wasn't
example.
invited to that party either.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So Jack and Coke became the staple. Then, as the bourbon kind of became a thing, tried Jack straight. No bueno. So I'm watching everybody, and I'm like, God, what am I missing? And then I had a buddy, again in Kansas City, give me my first taste of Elijah Craig.
Oh,
So
Another good one.
middle price point. We'll definitely
behind us.
try
I
that.
see that
That's-
behind
yep.
you.
Yeah, so Elijah Craig became the first bourbon that I actually, tasted and could sip and not tolerate, but somewhat enjoy. I didn't love it, but it really kind of piqued the interest in the different flavors. And, so I owe it all to Elijah Craig.
There you go.
not bad.
Yeah,
Not bad.
But I
They've
think that's
got-
an important point, right? It's an acquired thing. I don't know. I haven't met anybody who just drinks it for the first time and
yeah, it's
It is.
Yep.
It is a cool. It feels like it's a cool trend. I feel like we're right in the middle of it.
think so.
It is a break from beer.
yeah.
It's just it's fun. It's fun to explore it.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Agreed.
We don't take this too seriously where we're the aficionados, but I think it's just fun. Just explore it. Try new brands.
Yep.
Talk about the marketing. Talk about the taste.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised at how many people, as we've gotten more and more into it and talking about it and hunting for it, how many people across different age groups are into bourbon. It's it's kind of been a good connection point. Whether you're sitting at the bar, and ask the guy next to you what he's having, or somebody walks up and they're scanning the bottle selection, and it's easy to ask, what are you going for? What's your favorite or whatever. It's been easier, more of a connection point than I realized it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Although in North Carolina, you can stand in the aisle and look at the bottles, and you pretty much have had all of them because there's not a lot of options or variety. So that's my public service announcement to North Carolina.
Make more
Board
bourbon.
of alcohol. Loosen up, boys. So
But I think there's something to that, right? I think it's, I feel like it's, so the TX for me, right? I got introduced to that through somebody I was traveling with, but I think there's a bit of an intimidation factor to it, right? So it's like what you were talking about, right? You're like, okay, I don't know what to ask for, so
Yeah.
I'll have a Jack and Coke,
Yep.
right? But it's, so I'm curious because I think there's a lot of people who don't do it because either they're afraid to, or they just like they have a lack of knowledge or don't know how to go about making a decision as to what to have.
well, and back to the acquired taste too. You got to stick with it, for a
Yeah.
little bit to figure out what you like.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
Right.
I agree.
So
I can imagine too. If you're out, say you're out with colleagues, and end of the night, and you've got to make the call of, I'm going to order a round of bourbon. It's a pretty tall order. It's not cheap.
No.
First of all, your first sip, like we talked about, is not going to be
Good.
good. So you've got to kind of talk people. I would imagine you've got to talk people through it to say, give it. All right. So Kurt, what do we got?
Well, we talked a little bit about it, but this is the TX. Oh, you want some?
I'll do it. You keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So this was my virgin run of bourbon / well, it's really not bourbon, right? It's blended whiskey, so not the same thing. But my introduction into this world, I discovered this when I was actually in Texas because that's the only place that you can get it. Although, rumor has it they were just bought out by Pernod. So Pernod, I think it's pronounced. So hoping
Doesn't sound French.
wider distribution. But in any event, so at that time, so I was on a trip for work. We were on the corporate plane, and so transporting alcohol across borders was a lot easier than going through the airport.
It's definitely worth it.
It's definitely worth it. Yeah. So
I highly recommend it if you have the means.
So I would call it a milder taste. It's got a little hint of vanilla. I don't know if it actually is vanilla, but it's got a little sweeter taste to it. And I actually, because it was my first introduction to drinking whiskey on its own, blended, I found it really smooth. And I pretty much fell in love with it right from the beginning.
It is very smooth.
It's very smooth, yeah.
Very smooth. It's sweet. It does have the vanilla. I could taste that right out of the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, first time I tried it, I was traveling for business in Texas, and the sales rep I was traveling with is like, hey, you got to try this. If you like, whiskey, bourbon at all, it's like, you're not going to believe this. And of course, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He's from Texas, so obviously everything's better in Texas.
Yeah.
So if you hadn't heard.
And bigger, if you haven't heard.
So we tried it, and I was like, man, this is really good. Really smooth, very sweet. I thought very sweet and smooth, so easy drinking. So if you're in the area, a good entry point.
Yeah.
How much is it per bottle?
I want to say it's about $36 to $40.
Okay.
So you didn't make any money when you sold us the bottle.
I didn't make any money. No, I sold it at cost. That's why I'm not in marketing. I suck at merchandising because I suck at margins. But no, it's so actually a good friend of mine has a brother who lives there, so I had a little bit of a source, but so he's recently moved back, so he brought 2 cases back for me. So
Very cool.
I'm now distribution for TX in North
Hey,
Carolina.
that works. Whatever it
It's
takes.
really good, and I do like the lid. The cap is very
Yep.
cool, and the story to it.
Yeah, I mean, what's cool is they're all different, right? So I opened the 2 cases that I got, and there's white leather, there's cordovan, there's brown, there's black. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice
So,
touch.
Yeah.
I would think that that's a good starter. If you want to get to bourbon, it's not a bourbon, right? It's
Right.
a whiskey.
Right.
So I would say it's a good way to start because it doesn't have as much of the rye bite to it. Doesn't have the burn. Definitely has a sweeter taste. That vanilla.
So what is the difference between a whiskey and a bourbon?
Well, for those of you who went to Kentucky, why don't you tell me?
That's right, you weren't there.
It is never going to die, guys.
Yes, if I remember correctly, it has to be distilled in the United States,
Yep.
To be a bourbon.
correct? To be a bourbon.
Yep.
And it has to have more than 50% of the mash corn
Correct.
for it to be a bourbon and not a whiskey.
Yep.
And whiskey can be a bourbon, but bourbon cannot be a whiskey.
Bourbon is a whiskey.
All bourbon's
Bourbon
a whiskey.
is a whiskey. Okay.
All bourbon's a whiskey. Not all whiskeys are bourbon.
Right. And I think there's a
That's kinda what I
distinction.
meant.
Yeah,
I think there's a distinction on the.
but you didn't.
That's what my 8th grade science teacher said. And that's what I meant. No, but you didn't, son. I think there's also a distinction on the type of wood as well for the barrel.
Oak.
Any oak? Or just a white
I
oak?
don't know. I think probably just white.
Is it the same for whiskey then?
We probably should have looked that
I
up.
don't know. We got a lot of educating to do.
We do. We got some homework. Need some more bourbon. Another trip.
Another trip. God, I really wish. Can I go this time?
We're full. I think we should do 4 Roses. I don't think the episode should be loaded with all goodies.
Okay.
I think we need a dog.
All right. Let's pop it open.
It'd be like, these suckers like everything.
Let's pop it open. I had this before. So 4 Roses, maybe one of when we took the tour at 4 Roses, we got a little bit of the backstory for what the 4 Roses means, and it was the courting of the master distiller to his wife
Yeah.
or wives, at least one.
Was 4 Roses? Oh, we'll finish the story on the courting part and the name.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all you got.
That-
It's more than
that
I
was the
had, so
finish.
we'll just leave that. Yep.
Stick the landing.
Bada boom. Was 4 Roses the one, too, that was very successful, fell on hard times, was acquired by a Japanese company?
It was, in fact.
Yeah.
They said it was one of the earliest published advertisements and most widely seen because it was in Times Square,
Yeah.
and it was the backdrop
That's
of
right.
the end of World War II announcement with the sailor dip kissing the nurse.
Yep.
And in the background is the Four Roses
Really?
ad.
Wow.
Yep.
You guys really paid attention.
Yep.
I have seen that picture numerous times
Yep.
and have not noticed four roses in the background.
And it became, from what I remember, it became the staple in everyone's liquor cabinet.
Yep.
It was top shelf,
Yep.
hard to get, expensive.
And they blew production out.
Yep.
They're like, we got a hot one. Let's
Yep.
make more.
Big mistake.
And then you're right. It changed the recipe. Fell on hard times. Sold to a Japanese company. I think it got worse.
Yeah, fell down way off the top shelf.
Yep. So it became like the well.
Yeah.
Right. It just
Yeah.
became like a well bourbon,
Yep.
and I can't imagine it tasted better than it does right now. But supposedly the recipe is back.
Yeah.
This is the OG blend. And when we had it, I know that this was our third stop on the tour.
I think it was, yeah.
Yep.
And so following Woodford and then Buffalo and then stopping at Four Roses was probably contributed part to the
I mean, it is.
taste.
I mean, it's just it's god awful if you think about having to follow a tour from Woodford
Yeah.
to Four Roses. It was like stone and moss and like
Can I smell
beautifully manicured lawns to like vinyl siding.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. Well, the tasting was out on a portico. Remember that? We were
Yeah.
outside. The best part for a cheap bastard like with me was we got free glasses. Remember that?
Free
think-
glasses.
yeah.
Got free
Yeah. You still
tasting
have yours?
glasses. I absolutely do.
Okay. I've
I'm
mine in
gonna
the
I'm
cabinet.
gonna re-gift those to Kurt
I was
for
gonna,
Christmas this
do you
year.
still want yours?
You looking for a set of 4?
Yeah, that's right.
You can take them.
That's kind of funny. 3 glasses, 4 roses. I'm not really following, but
But it does, like, just in the uncork, it has like a just
Alton's
a
pouring it.
high burn taste
You gotta
or,
go.
or aroma to it.
I need to reset.
You got to come back down.
did you drink your water?
Yeah, it's just sharp. Just straight up the nose.
It tastes the same as you remember it.
Yeah, not good.
We won't be hashtagging those guys.
No. But I mean, for some folks, it is their go-to. It's
Yeah, a lot of people like
and
it.
there's- Maybe there's a lot of tradition in it where they.
I mean,
Think
here's the thing,
back
right?
to-
Everybody's palate is different, right? So
Yeah.
there's going to be people who don't like TX because they don't like that sweeter taste.
Yeah, that's
so.
true. That's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a re-sip on it.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like it has nothing in the beginning. Like the first taste is just wet. Like, it just doesn't have anything, and then it's kind of like just a flat, very flat taste.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any. There's no bite to it. Then the bite comes after, and it's not great.
And it stays.
Not great. Nope. Which I think explains why when you look at all the bottles on the table. I think Kurt, didn't you
It's
just
the
ask
fullest.
has that one been opened yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It still doesn't look like it's been open.
I think we're all hesitant to.
So the third caller will get a free bottle.
Included with your T-shirt purchase will be a bottle of bourbon.
Almost full. 4 roses. That's just the angel's portion missing.
It's like
Or the devil's cut, depending on how you look at
3
it.
and 7/8 roses. Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. And maybe as a mix, which I think, did we mix this with the old fashioned? Because it was like, we're going to bury it in all the sweet.
Yeah, we might have when we were doing the old fashions that
Yeah.
night. Yeah.
That's
So now-
interesting. I mean, it does have a strong finish. So maybe how did that turn out with the old fashioned? Where you're kind
No, they
of
were
giving it
good.
some flavor
They were
up
great.
front.
No, they were good.
Yeah, I think as a, and I think for the price too. This is not a very expensive bottle.
I don't know. I got
It's
it as
not-
a gift.
It's not that expensive.
No, I think it probably is pretty good as a
Like a mixer.
base for a mixer.
Yeah.
That's good.
I wouldn't consider mixing
Wood-
TX or
no.
Woodford or Buffalo or Old Forester with anything.
No.
That would just be
So the mixer's to
shameful.
hide the shitty taste, is what you're saying.
I think so.
Okay.
But you do get that bite. Like you get a little
Yeah.
bite
Yeah.
on the finish. It's not bad.
So let's talk Bourbon Boys.
Let's do it.
How did it start?
You know, I think it's so the four of us have worked together, and through a series of events, we're no longer working together. But there was this, you mentioned this at the beginning, Alton. There was this bond or this common thread about bourbon, and I remember I think we were at your Christmas party. We talked about this is great to be together. You know,
See, I invite people to parties.
Good Lord.
See, I love
You
it because
do.
I get a
You
reaction
do.
every time from him. It's hilarious.
it's fantastic. But I think we said, you know what, this year we got to make sure we don't lose contact. So we started and we just said, let's do Bourbon Boys, and we'll get together first Tuesday every month. Everyone bring a bottle, and we will all try all four. And we're not drinking full glasses all the time
Or full bottles.
or full bottles, as you can see in the Four Roses. And it was a great way just to stay in touch, find out what's going on, with life.
Yep.
Family, kids, work,
Yep.
cars.
Yeah, I think it was
finances.
more than just a bourbon, right? I mean,
Oh,
I think
totally.
you're the one who sent the message out. And so I think it's about staying connected. I think it's about just sharing on what's going on in each other's lives and, being able to find that support. So,
Yep.
yeah.
It's almost a fraternity of sorts.
Hmm.
Good reason to get together.
Mm-hmm.
No distractions.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a little bit of homework, like bring something new that we haven't tried before.
Breaks up the routine, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught into that grind, right?
Yeah.
Into the day-to-day and
Yeah.
something to look forward to kind of break things up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Think of how many people you've sent like a text message to saying, hey, we got to go grab a beer. And how many do you actually
Yeah.
grab
Yeah.
a beer with?
Yeah.
Well, I think that was the other thing and I can't remember the series of events before Kurtron's Christmas party where the idea came up, but something had happened that the four of us had been together with some frequency before that a couple of times. And kind of through the different stages of each of us kind of changing jobs, getting kids off to college or whatever, I think the reality struck was, wow, we got a lot in common. You don't have to go through this by yourself. And it's okay to, either vent some frustration or to ask for help or, perspective.
Right.
I think that was the kind of the thing that we were enjoying, kind of realizing that the camaraderie's there, and then bourbon became hey, here's a reason to do this. We all like bourbon. Let's get together.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think that was kind of the light bulb for me.
Yep. And I can imagine there's other guys out there, similar situation, looking for, a reason to get together, and like you said, to either vent or, do you have my six?
Yep.
Need to bounce something by you
Yeah.
that
Yep.
only you would understand, or you can relate to, or you've been through this, and then add on top of it, exploring new bourbon.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic reason
It's
to
the
get together.
best kind of support group you can have.
Amen.
Sure is.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Plus the dialogue and the conversation helps you pace a little bit.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Dave?
No, I'm just, we just sat here and just drank and didn't do this and,
Yeah.
take breaks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
All right. So it's the end of the night.
It's the
Yep.
end of the night.
You are called upon to choose a round of bourbon
oh,
of the four that we tasted tonight.
Mm.
TX, Woodford Reserve Double Barreled, Old Forester Statesman, and Four Roses.
not Four Roses.
David, what is your choice for your
Just to clarify,
Team.
Yeah, who's the
are you-
audience?
Yeah, who are we buying around
No.
for?
buying?
Know your audience.
You are out for a steak dinner. You're at Epic steak dinner
Yeah.
with your team,
Which team?
your work team, direct reports.
Rose. No,
I would have to go with the double oak.
Yeah.
Double oak. Why?
I don't know. I think there's just something classy about Woodford.
bottle presented or not?
Yes.
Okay. David?
So, if I'm taking my team, I'm probably going to go with TX.
How come?
Reason being, I don't have a lot of bourbon drinkers on my team.
Okay.
And I think because of it being a blended whiskey and a little bit more on the sweeter side, it's probably a good entry point, if you will.
Smart move.
Yeah,
I like it.
but
Tough
I'm
to
not
find.
gonna slam Kurt on the double oak because that's a good pick for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
As much as I want to.
I like it. There'll be time for that.
Can I sit
for
next
sure.
to Red next week?
You're sitting next to me forever.
Yeah.
All right, Alton. your team?
You know what? I would probably. They're all winners, or 3 of the 4 are. I would go Buffalo Trace, and
okay.
the only reason because between the Woodford Double Oak, obviously that's my favorite. TX is nice and smooth. Buffalo is something that a lot of folks that I talk to haven't tried yet.
And it's a little hard to come by in North
It's a
Carolina.
little harder to come by, but
Yeah.
also a lot of people just don't know the kind of the uniqueness of it. So I would probably take the opportunity to introduce them to that.
It's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
All right.
And you?
I'm looking at the I'm looking at Statesman.
Yeah.
I think Old Forester from me, and I would have bottle presented.
It's a classy bottle.
It
I like
totally
it.
is.
It is
And I
classy
think
bottle,
I think
yeah.
it's kind of a badass move that you bring that bottle out. The long neck, I think, is a throwback shape.
The taper of the bottle.
Yeah, I like the taste of it. I love the smoothness of it. It's got either like a maple or a caramel, taste to it, and I think that I don't have a team right now, so it would just be me drinking alone. But
Which is not healthy, by the way, Derek.
which
So
is
don't
not
do that.
healthy. But with a prior team,
We're not here to judge.
I think the prior team that would be a cool bourbon to start with.
Yeah.
I think it's a little less harsh than some of the other bourbons.
Yep.
And I think it's not as sweet as TX, but I think it's a good way to step into it. And I would do what Alton said, like this is a 3-sip. Like take it, put it on your tongue, get the sting done, and then you'll enjoy it by the 3rd sip.
Yep.
Excellent.
Very cool.
All right, guys.
All right.
Gentlemen, enjoyed it.
Gentlemen.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Journey, game on.
Well done.
Next month.
Here you go.